Good. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, welcome. I'd like to tell you that all things are great here in the Card Show. They're not. There was a coffee and sandwich and wrap order this morning. I was not included in that, so I'm in my feelings here a little bit, boys.
You should.
I'll deal with it after the show. Don't worry about that. In any event, that guy right there is the culprit. I mean, David Jacoby right there. That's Jacobs. We, of course, have Super Bowl champion, Green Bay Packer, Hall of Famer, Mr. Greg Jennings. And we have my main man, Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers and New York Jet, Mr. Willie Anthony Allen, which is a cologne. We got lots cooking as we are now ever so close to wild card football. Plus a bunch of huge coaching moves over the last 24 hours. But let's get you started. It is Thursday, yeah?
It is. It is.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Here's your Thursday morning headlines. All right, obviously the Dolphins lost in Buffalo in the playoffs last year. No Tua, though. And two, of course, there's a lot of speculation as to what kind of guys he's going to be come playoff time. Mike McDaniel said, learned a lot of lessons last week in what was essentially a playoff-type atmosphere in their loss to the Buffalo Bills. I learned a lot, too. Tua threw a big interception late that obviously played a role in them losing the game. So here's the obvious question. He has never played in a playoff game. You want to go back to college? Had some great moments in college, in big games, so he's got that pedigree. Do you trust him?
Well, I think at bottom line, you have to, right? Because he's all you got.
Yeah.
So, listen, I'm a firm believer. Hard times build character. The last 2 weeks, Dolphins haven't looked great, but you got to trust and believe Mike McDaniel and Tua and the rest of this outfit, they're going to figure it out because they have no choice. You don't want to go down to Arrowhead and get the hell beat out of you.
Right.
Because one thing that Kansas City's going to do, they're going to be ready for you. They've been here before.
How about you, Greg? I know he's right. You have no choice. He's your guy. And he's had damn near a record-setting your first 2 months of the season.
Can we say something? It's great fat shaming us with this.
This is a lot.
I mean,
this is a lot.
It's honestly.
This is a lot.
It's honestly.
I mean, someone had to thank you, Willie.
I try to do my
I didn't want to say it. Thank you very much,
I
William.
try to do my job. And
What
I'm
is
trying to be
this?
professional. But I feel like he's fat shaming the whole damn day.
Are you even wearing a shirt?
Look, I mean, who on this building can wear?
Bro, you're leading with nipples.
Skin-tight
You're just leading with nipples.
I'll be honest.
We know he works out. We know he's in a remarkable shape.
You said you have a sweater that features my nipples.
Yeah, he's an Adonis, but I honestly can't look over here.
You could have told me that in the hallway.
I mean, it's mannequin print.
It's funny because right before we came into the studio, Willie said to me, "Are you in the mood for a milkshake? This is just me." And I was like, "No, I am too."
It's a milkshake morning. It's a milkshake morning. I'm ordering a milkshake.
I just had to clear that out the way.
And also, you went around. Do you want a wrap? I'll get you one.
Do you trust to it? All right, we'll get into it later.
Do you trust Greg?
At some point.
Sorry, guys.
Headline number 2. This is one of those deals where we talk to players that we've never talked to before, and they say things that we never thought we'd hear before because they're trying to, make a name for themselves. But Cowboy safety came out and said that. Am I skipping this? I'm not doing this?
Yeah, you skipped over Carroll. Go to Carroll.
So much for that.
Pete Carroll's
sorry about that.
That's how you feel about it?
Oh, look, Pete Carroll's an old man, so he retired. He's no longer the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. I guess it caught some people by surprise. He stays on as a consultant of some kind. The word is that it was not his choice, but after a meeting with ownership there and the front office, it was agreed upon that he still brings value, as of course the guy's been around as long as he has. But Pete Carroll was a surprise coaching move that happened yesterday.
Yeah, for me, he reminds me of that old jukebox in the corner, right? It was great in his time, but now that we're in 2024, we're like,
Did you just call Pete Carroll a jukebox?
Yeah, he's that old jukebox.
Wow.
I mean, he's a little outdated, bro. Like, it is what it is. He had a hell of a time in Seattle. He brought them their only championship.
Yep.
But it's time to move on. He's expired. Like,
look, he's a great coach, not a good one. Obviously, he had some issues at USC, well documented. But the man knows how to coach, knows how to lead men. And a guy in his young 70s, the fact he lasted this long is not the norm, and speaks to how great he is as a coach.
Yeah, and it's about relatability, too, at some point. But Pete Carroll was one of those older guys that you feel like if you're in that locker room, he was relatable. Even at his later stages in life, like his age, he was still a relatable coach. You saw how vibrant he was, but I think you got to get a young guy in there. The league is getting younger from a player standpoint, even from a coaching standpoint. Everything is turning.
Look, my favorite memory of Pete Carroll, when you guys are talking about being like a player's guy, a guy that can relate, is when they signed DK Metcalf 5 years ago. And DK, of course, has, like Greg, the chiseled physique. And they went in to meet him, and he had his shirt off. And that's all I needed to see. And he was in his late 60s when he did that, and it was very, very relatable. So, a great career by Pete Carroll. He does have a Super Bowl ring, and he'll probably always regret the fact that he didn't hand the ball off to Marshawn. That's another story for another day. The guys are telling me right now that there's a breaking news story. Involving Bill Belichick. I don't know what it is, but we're about to find out together right after this.
Is it happening?
What is this?
Is it happening?
I don't know.
Craig.
Breaking? It's breaking.
Say something.
Breaking. All right, welcome back to the Carton Show. We have breaking news for you. It is being reported by multiple sources that the Wicked Witch is dead.
Finally!
Woohoo! After a quarter of a century wreaking havoc on my New York Jets and the NFL across the land, Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots are expected to part ways.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
It is finally over. It's finally over.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. Obviously the greatest head coach of all time in the history of the NFL. Merely 12 hours after the greatest college coach of all time, Nick Saban, announces he's stepping down at Alabama. And, of course, Pete Carroll's out in Seattle. Bill Belichick is no longer in the AFC East. And you know what happened? And think about this as we celebrate the demise of the New England Patriots franchise. It was the New York Jets that sent him into retirement. See ya. Wouldn't want to be here. Oh, what glorious news this is.
I love it. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought when there was talk about him joining hands or becoming, a team, build a team with a new GM and him not being a guy, I knew it wasn't going to happen. I know Bill was going to be like, I'm out of here. I'm not listening to nobody. I brought 6 Super Bowls home to New England.
But it's the New York Jets that ended your Patriot career. And that's all that matters to me. Hey, get me Robert Saleh on the hotline right away. I want to congratulate him for a terrible year, but a year that ended with the demise of that guy. Peace out. Bill now, doesn't mean Bill Belichick's not going to coach.
He's a chuck.
Next year somewhere else, but he is no longer going to coach the New England Patriots 24 years later. It's a wrap.
Yeah, and it's a direction that the Patriots obviously want to go. They want to go probably younger, and they understand that they're probably going to try to get a quarterback in this draft. And so what his relationship with Mac Jones, I really believe that had a lot to do with it. Not just the inability to connect with him, but just how he mishandled it. As far as a relationship building, communicating, and we saw Mac Jones literally every week just feel like he was starting to doubt himself and his ability to even play at this level. So I think that has a lot to do with it when you move forward to
under 500 without Tom Brady, hasn't made the playoffs in God knows how long, a bad talent evaluator, couldn't find a quarterback, obviously, whether it's Bailey Zappi or the high draft pick in Mac Jones. I will say this, as much as he has pained me throughout my entire adult life as a New York Jet fan, I acknowledge greatness. And Bill Belichick is the greatest head coach in the history of the NFL. But what sweet sound it is that Bill Belichick is no longer in my life or standing in the way of the New York Jets winning games, winning divisions. It's going to be a long road back for the Patriots. And that guy, the Wicked Witch of the West, the guy that caused me such great pain, the guy that retired and resigned as the head coach of the New York Jets on a freaking napkin 20 years ago, is now out of my life. Good riddance. Good riddance. Good riddance. I want to say bad words. I'm dying to say bad words.
Don't do it. Don't
Today
do
is such a great celebration. Jacoby, I forgive you for not buying me Dunkin' Donuts this morning.
Oh,
Greg,
Jacoby.
I forgive you for making me stare at your nipples this morning. And Willie, I forgive you for that silent but deadly you dropped 6 minutes ago. I am having a great day. It is a celebration.
He will be the head coach of the Chargers. It's 4:15 in Los Angeles right now, and they're already on the phone. It is 4:15 in Los Angeles. The Chargers are already on the phone.
I'm not sure that the Chargers is the best job. I thought for a moment for sure it was because you have a rock star quarterback in Justin Herbert. But if I'm Bill Belichick, the snake in the grass that he is, he's just going to wait. He's going to wait for maybe the Dallas Cowboys to lose to the Green Bay Packers and Jerry Jones to overreact. Maybe he's going to wait for fill in the blank to have a bad
Chicago.
The point is this. When you have Michael Jordan available to you, you wait for Michael Jordan.
Everybody's going to wait for him.
And that he's the only guy. Look, there's some great coaching candidates, obviously, that are out there, and some good coaching candidates that are out there. But the point is this. I now have the luxury, if I'm Bill Belichick, I'm going to enjoy myself for a couple weeks, and I'm going to wait. I guarantee you the phone's already rang. There's no doubt about it. The phone is already ringing, whether it's the Chargers, whether it's whomever. You pick your favorite team, the Saints, the Falcons, whatever it might be,
Panthers,
Tennessee. The reality is that's Michael Jordan right there. And if the Eagles lose in the first round to Tampa, Sirianni's out, Belichick's in. If the Cowboys lose in the first round to the Green Bay Packers, McCarthy's out, he's in. This guy and no one else gets to pick the job he wants.
Yeah, rightfully so, right? Because he's one of the greatest to ever do it. But my question is, who's willing to deal with Bill Belichick and everything he brings to the table? Because right now, he's perceived as having a Jekyll and Hyde sort of, complex, if you will. In the building, he's great. You love him. Outside, very stoic.
Remember what he represents, though, right? He represents championships.
No doubt about it.
Right. So if you're a team, and I'm going to use the Cowboys
but with
because
Tom Brady.
But the point is, if you're a team, there are teams out there. Chargers with Herbert. I apologize to Mike McCarthy for this, and I'm going to even apologize to Nick Sirianni for this.
What?
There are really good teams out there that have franchise quarterbacks that might need an upgraded coach. I'm not talking about going to Carolina and trying to figure out if Bryce Young is a player or not, and deal with a lunatic owner with very little talent, in the cupboard, right? This guy, if he wants to coach, my gut is that he does, is going to go to a situation where it's kind of like when Tom Brady went to Tampa. Tom Brady didn't go to Carolina. Tom Brady didn't go to a team that wasn't built.
Because it was ready, set. It was ready to go.
He's going to have his pick of franchises that are ready to win championships.
And it will, and as close to a guarantee as you can get, it's that guy right there.
No doubt about it.
Like, if you are a team that feels like we are just a piece away, whatever that piece is, you feel like he will fill that void.
And by the way, as much as I dislike him, I do feel that way. Like if the New York,
feel like he's a piece of...
I'll give you an example. Obviously, I'm friends with Robert Saleh. I respect him, like him a lot. I know this will never happen because he hates the franchise. If I'm the New York Jets, I'm on the phone right now.
Really?
Will Bill Belichick consider coaching?
Even with the history.
Dude, I dislike this
man.
They
have footage of this man not even willing to walk into the locker room with Bill Parcells says. He hated the Jets.
Hates the Jets.
Continues to hate
and I don't
the
even
Jets.
quite understand the history of that. And I've been a Jet fan for a long time. And this is not, hyperbole. This was my best friend when we both lived in Cleveland, Ohio. Well documented. I don't want to get into it again. And as much as I dislike him for a lot of the stuff he's done away from the field over the last quarter century, on a personal level, go get him. I know I can't, but the point is, Michael Jordan's now available.
Question.
Yes.
I'm going to be the guy to say the quiet thing out loud. Are we sure Bill Belichick still has his fastball?
Yes, 100%.
He was the GM, and he was the head coach of a team that decided that Cam Newton should come back for that second year, that Mac Jones is the guy for the future of the franchise. This team has been bad. Without Tom Brady, he has been bad. Are we still sure that he is this Michael Jordan, as you say it? Is there some hesitation if I'm a franchise that has a coaching ability?
So let me give you an example. It's a fair question.
Would you not want a younger guy that has his eye on the future?
I don't. And I don't like hiring older people as a principal, as a rule, but he's different. He's a one of one. And I'll give it to you this way. I'm not looking for Bob Myers, right? NBA term, right?
Correct.
A guy that can build a franchise. I'm looking for Pat Riley, the coach. I'm looking for who's the greatest coach out there. I don't need him to be a talent evaluator from a GM standpoint.
He's a bad GM.
I wouldn't hire him to be my general manager.
Drafted poorly.
I give him a voice in the room because I respect his history in the NFL. I'm hiring Bill Belichick, the coach. And I'm telling you, I know you don't want to hear it because it means that your team had a disappointing result in the playoffs. Chargers are an obvious one because you have Herbert, right? If the Dallas Cowboys or the Philadelphia Eagles lose this weekend, that's where Bill Belichick goes.
What about next weekend?
A little different. A little different.
So I think,
little different.
I think all that matters, right? I'm with Craig. I'm not hiring him for his GM status and track record and all the things. But what we do know worked was we heard Danny Amendola say it earlier this week. Like we worked for Bill Belichick. We played for Tom Brady. So that means if I hear that, I'm understanding that as, or reading between the lines, he's gonna go to a spot where the quarterback situation, it is set. There's a leader there. There's an alpha there. And again, I love Mike McCarthy, but you're right. If listen to what Jerry's been saying this week.
It's about winning.
It's a chance.
And I don't want to. So I'm apologizing for saying
I'm totally
but I got to keep it a buck,
sure.
right? And keeping it 100 is if there's an early exit, if the Cowboys lost in the first round, and I say it about Philly too.
Yep.
If Philly loses in the first round and the guy's available, these guys don't come along that often. He's a one of one. I'm on the phone today making that offer.
Yeah, I just struggle because the scenario you're painting is that he has to step into a situation that's already set for him, right? When he's supposed to be this great head coaches develop. Great head coaches make a way and build a culture within an organization. What we've seen out of Bill Belichick, he brought in Bill O'Brien. He's supposed to be the quarterback with Squirrel. He was supposed to unlock Mac Jones. That was a failure.
Yeah,
Every coach that's ever left his tree has failed. So who are we honestly getting right now? Because I understand he won with Tom Brady, and he's done amazing things. He's probably one of the greatest head coaches in his time.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like what we just said about Pete Carroll. They were great back then, but who they are now, they are not great.
Thank you, Willie.
We got a lot more to talk about with Bill Belichick. It's been a crazy 24 hours. Again, just keep this in mind. The all-time greatest and winningest head coach in the history of college football, Nick Saban, is out. The all-time winningest head coach from a Super Bowl standpoint and second in total wins behind Don Shula, Bill Belichick, is out. Pete Carroll is out. What a crazy 24 hours.
Wow.
And now we got to talk sports for the next 2 hours. All right, I guess we'll have to do it. More coming up right after this. All right, welcome back to the Carton Show. Obviously, the breaking news just a few moments ago. Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots expected to part ways after 24 years, 6 Super Bowl titles. And the reverberations around the league are significant because any coach that got the public vote of confidence from his owner 24 hours ago no longer has it.
Yeah.
Even Blues.
Yeah.
The Blues is loose.
Yeah, Jacoby asked an interesting question going into the break about whether or not, you're welcome, whether or not Bill Belichick's lost his fastball, missed the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years. And I think you have to separate the executive Bill Belichick and the coach because the New England Patriots do not have all that much talent, period, stop. And 2 years ago, he did take him to the playoffs. And I know they got blown out by the Buffalo Bills. He took a bad football team to the playoffs. If you watch New England, as we do as Jet fans, and obviously being in the Northeast, we have an interest in what they do, they had a terrible year record-wise. That team still plays solid defense.
Absolutely.
That team doesn't get blown out a lot. A couple games, yes. They went out there and embarrassed themselves. But that team still competes. That team has always created problems for the opponent. And I think sometimes because he's made himself an unlikable guy, because of the press conferences, because of the him versus Tom Brady nonsense, and then Tom, of course, wins the Super Bowl without him. So we're going to try to change the narrative about was it the chicken or the egg or the chicken, Brady, Belichick, back and forth. I think sometimes we lose sight of just how good a game day coach he is. And as much as I dislike him, I've watched damn near every Patriot game for the last 20 years from a Jet fan perspective. And I would tell you today, maybe there are two coaches in the same pool as Bill Belichick in regards to being a game day coach.
Yeah, look, like when you talk about the fastball being removed and has he lost it, I say no. All of what you just talked about, he did this without his best pass rusher, his best player in the secondary, and they still were a viable defense. I know they had struggles offensively. There was relationship gap even when it comes to the quarterback and head coach relationship. You can insert a coach that can bridge that gap. And if you already have the quarterback, you're good there. So for me, I don't know if there's 6 coaching opportunities or 6 teams that are safe. Like, I don't care who you are as far as the head coach of this league. If you're not Andy Reid, if you're not, name another one.
I can make the argument that Shanahan's not safe.
I just don't know because you have such. At the end of the day, this league, regardless, forget players for a second. Owners want to win. Right. It's about winning. If you are saying to your fan base, who brings us the best option to win or opportunity to win? It's that guy right there.
Well, let me just add that to it, because people are going to start talking about jobs that we didn't think were available that now might be available because he's ready now and he's a free agent as a head coach. And I know we all have the utmost respect for Shanahan out there in San Francisco, but he's got more talent than any coach in the league. Right. If San Fran doesn't get to the Super Bowl, I think that would be the line for them. Let's say San Fran gets upset. Dallas beats him, Philly beats him, however it plays itself out. And you've got all that talent and a young, kind of like Tom Brady-esque guy in Brock Purdy. If I own San Francisco, all due respect to Shanahan, who's built this perennial monster out there in the NFC West, I could get Bill Belichick.
So, can I just be the guy at the desk that's I'm gonna be here and be like, I don't know if this is the Michael Jordan we're talking about. I can't separate the coach from the executive. He is the guy that said last year, you know who's gonna be my offensive coordinator? Matt Patricia and Joe Judge.
You're right.
He's the guy who had drafted all those players that do not play on Sunday. He's the guy that brought in, he spent the most money in free agency he's ever spent in his entire career, and the next year did not make the playoffs. So the decisions that he's made, you would say, he gives you the best opportunity to win. That's what I've heard both of you say. Guess what? He hasn't won for 4 years.
Forever.
I don't think he's what you think he is.
And you talk about his fastball, right?
Yeah.
His fastball was being able to get no-name guys, and for those guys to develop and become New England Patriots. Who are these guys? Name one guy that's
Post-Tom Brady.
Post-Tom Brady, that's the star on his team. Nobody. On top of that, let me finish.
Yeah.
On top of the division, the Buffalo Bills, Dolphins are way ahead of the New England Patriots. It's a regression. You got to be able to keep up with the league. He has yet to do that.
Look, that happens with success, though, right? It happens after 2 decades of success, and you guys want to just, conveniently eliminate the fact that they no longer have a top 20 quarterback. What coach is going to win a Super Bowl when you've got the 30th best quarterback in football?
He picked that quarterback.
Again,
and he stuck with that quarterback. Those are his decisions.
There is the coach, and there is the general manager.
It's the same brain.
It is not. It is the coach. He's the best.
He wears both titles. He wore both titles.
I want to be very clear, since apparently I'm not speaking English today. All right, or your ears are not hearing me. I'm not hiring Bill Belichick to be an executive or a general manager or a team president. And as much as I dislike the guy, I promise the audience I would never lie to them. This is still, and I don't think it's close, the best game day coach in the NFL. I don't hire him to run the draft. I don't hire him to sign free agents. I hire him to coach the 53 guys that I'm giving him.
So my pushback, why is he getting fired?
He's not. 24 years is a long time. 300-plus wins is second only to Don Shula. And like everyone else, whether it's Michael Jordan going to the Wizards or anyone else moving from a successful situation, all jobs change eventually.
And I would push back with you guys and ask the question of, I'll look at you, Jacoby, because you're a Bills fan.
I can't look at you in that sweater, sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Well, I'm going to look at you.
Okay.
You're telling me that if the Bills go out this weekend to the Steelers, and you're a Bills fan, a lifer, you're all in on them.
Yep.
Bill Belichick wouldn't be on your radar?
No, thank you.
That's crazy talk.
No,
crazy talk.
No,
it's not.
It
no,
is.
thank you.
It's not.
Like, Sean McDermott's never taken the Bills to a Super Bowl, let alone win 6
When's the last time Bill's been to one?
He was in the playoffs 2 years ago.
Yeah,
in the playoffs. He's in the playoffs for like an hour and a half he was in the playoffs.
I hate Bill Belichick more than all of you guys combined.
Then why are you supporting him?
Because I respect greatness. And as much as I dislike the guy, and I hate the fact that he's a bully, and the way he does his press conferences, he is the best coach in the history of the NFL.
But it's about
period. Stop.
It's not about what you've done. It's about what you can do. And what he can do right now is not win football team, won't win football games.
He's got a bad team. You know he's got a bad team.
He built a bad team. He built that team.
He wouldn't be your point. Yes. Maybe if I say it,
please.
His point is he wouldn't be building the next team that he goes to.
But why can't you guys separate those two?
But my point is, if that's the case, why is he leaving? Because he's already been told that out of his mouth, he's willing to take on somebody to be the GM.
Because, well, you guys know, it's like anything else. There comes a time where, the streak comes to an end. All right, 24 years in one place, by the way, is unheard of, especially in today's sports, right? It's time for them to have a fresh change. It's time for him to have a fresh change. You have to separate the executive and personnel decisions from whether or not you think he's a good coach. And I would tell you right now, I know your Bills fandom has been in questions this year, but right now you're all in. So all good for me on that. Sean McDermott's never done a damn thing.
No.
That's not true.
Is that
no, that's not. You cannot say that. And I listen, I hate the hat.
Yeah.
But my point is, Buffalo Bills has emerged since Josh Allen over the last 4 years. They are always in contention to win a Super Bowl. Had they got there? No.
In contention, Cincinnati Bengals went to Orchard Park last year
and beat them up.
Slapped them.
But it's good to be I'd rather be in the division round competing than not having a shot at all like the New England Patriots.
Whoa. So the Dallas Cowboys have an issue because they can't get past the division round, but the Buffalo Bills don't. And
I don't.
And so when you look at the Buffalo Bills, we've seen Joe Burrow come in, AFC Championship game, and Super Bowl appearance. Okay. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes dominates. Why are we unwilling to admit that Sean McDermott may not be the guy to get them over the hump? It's not that he's a bad coach, but he can't get them over. He has not got them over the hump.
They're in the playoffs. They beat the Dolphins at home. Yeah. When we're talking about the greatest coach of all time, when has the standard dropped?
Dude, like the Buffalo Bills have now won 4 consecutive AFC championships, and they've never sniffed the Super Bowl.
And this is bad. You almost make me want to root against the Buffalo Bills.
You should. You root against everything else.
Just to see if your tone changes after this week.
I'm being told that there will be a press conference today at 12 at noon Eastern time where Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick are having some type of, press conference to discuss it. They're leaving as friends. Obviously, the great career he had in New England. And it's time to move on. And I'm telling you right now, if I'm San Francisco, I add them to the list.
No.
If they get eliminated early. If I'm Dallas, if I'm Philly, if I'm a million teams out there, this guy's better than every coach in the league, and I don't even like the guy.
You have a traumatic experience with him.
Yeah.
There's something about him.
Something about
he
him.
owns you because your team has lost him so many times that you're completely delusional about his current abilities.
Yeah, but we've seen Michael Jordan in a Wizard uniform, right? It's ugly.
Yes.
We do not want to see this man
what you're getting.
As another head coach.
This is Patrick Ewing
go down and be done with it. Bill Belichick should either die or live with the New England Patriots. Bottom line.
Why?
Why? Because he can't do anything else. Why do you want to see an act? First of all, he was horrible with the Browns. The Jets was a disaster. His only,
the 6 Super Bowls is only.
That's only. That hasn't happened.
All he did was win 6 championships. All he did was go to 9 of them.
No sense.
Here's that. There's only been 57 Super Bowls.
I think you guys are rested on his laurels, and it's over.
Well, hold on.
It's over.
What else do you rest on?
How about now? The last 3 years, he's done nothing.
Just for the record, I introduce Greg every morning as what? Green Bay Packer Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion. I introduce you every morning
as the God, Willie Cologne,
the God,
New York, King, Super Bowl champ,
Super Bowl champion,
the big him.
Why do you rest on your laurels?
Because you allow us to, right? But when you talk about
because you did it.
I get that, but my point is, what we've seen thus far, he has yet to produce. So my point is, why am I going to keep talking about the glory years when we're living in the present?
Okay,
I got a question for you really quick. We both love Mike Tomlin. We both understand how valuable he's been and what he's been able to do has been remarkable.
Yes.
No losing seasons.
17 years.
All that.
Yep.
Mike Tomlin, how do you feel about him?
He's the greatest coach of all time.
And so if Mike Tomlin, do you think Mike Tomlin has lost his fastball?
No, his team is playing the Bills in the playoffs. New England is not.
Okay. So a couple years ago, Bill Belichick had a team in the postseason. And were we saying that he had lost his fastball then? And so Mike Tomlin didn't make the playoffs last year. Were you saying he had lost his fastball?
No.
Why not?
Well, I'm telling you not, because he's going to the playoffs right now. He hasn't had a losing season. It's all about the present.
Mike Tomlin didn't hire his two sons to be on the coaching staff.
We're not talking about an executive.
No, he's the same brain. It's the exact same brain. It's the same man.
You can't separate the two.
You can't separate the two.
The general manager is not deciding what to do on 3rd and long in the 4th quarter of a game. The head coach is. And you lose the argument when you keep going down the road of he's a bad executive. I don't disagree. We all acknowledge that. The point is, I'm not hiring him for the 12th time to be an executive. I'm hiring him because he's the best game day coach in the history of the NFL. Yes, he said it 2 days ago.
Exactly.
That he's willing to do it.
Then why leave?
One of the worst offenses in the entire NFL was from that brain. And it's not the executive side, it's the head coach. One of the worst offenses in the league came from that brain. And you want to hire him, and you're gonna replace Mike Shanahan or Kyle Shanahan.
Matter of fact, the more I think about it, I think there might only be 2 teams in the entire league that wouldn't now have a meeting amongst their executive staff about whether or not I bring in
Harbaugh, Shanahan, McDaniel.
By the way, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I consider it too.
No chance.
Right? If I'm the Steelers, if I'm San Francisco, if I'm Dallas, if I'm Philly, everyone except for maybe Kansas City. Andy Reid's the only coach that's safe right now.
No.
That's maybe the Baltimore Ravens, possibly. But let's see what they do in the playoffs this year. So the good news, though, is that the one team outside of Kansas City that has announced already this morning they have zero interest in bringing in the greatest coach of all time are the New York Jets. So we have that going for us. But look, folks, it is a celebration.
We got another one.
That was weak.
That wasn't good.
That was like me last night. I tried, but it didn't happen the way I wanted it to. Look, Bill Belichick is out. Nick Saban is out.
Yeah.
So for those of you, Pete Carroll's out. For those of you like me who believe that we need villains in sports, we just lost the 2 biggest villains in the NFL and college football, all within a 24-hour span. And I am loving it. Much more coming up right after this on FS1. There's a celebration across the land, my friends. Looks like Martha Vandella said, we're dancing in the streets because the Wicked Witch is dead. The longtime reign of Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots has come to an end. There'll be a press conference coming up in about 4 hours from now, Eastern Time, 12 o'clock at Foxborough, the Crafts. And, of course, Bill Belichick, 6 Super Bowl titles, 9 Super Bowl appearances, and second only to Don Shula when it comes to total wins on the sideline of an NFL game. So, look, you can debate back and forth what you think about Bill Belichick today versus what his career is, but now it comes down to the destination, because if all the reports are right, he still wants to coach. I buy that. He's a coach. It's in his blood. And he feels probably like he's got some unfinished business and wants to one-up Tom Brady if he can. Makes total sense to me from a competitive standpoint. There are, 7 openings right now. But now that he's available, my gut is that there might be an 8th, a 9th, a 10th, et cetera, et cetera. So just top of your head, guys, let's start with you there, Will. If you take the 7 jobs we know are available, you could pick any one of them, or you could find a situation based on maybe what happens in the next month in the playoffs that might make an owner say, wait a minute, we haven't really fulfilled our destiny based on the talent we have. Maybe it's time to consider something we wouldn't have considered if a guy like this wasn't available. Now, those are the current jobs that are available. Atlanta doesn't have a quarterback. Carolina's, take them off the table. They're barely even an NFL team. Seattle's got Geno Smith. The Commanders have a new owner, tons of money, but they don't have a quarterback either. Right. The Raiders doesn't seem like a fit for a lot of reasons, especially because Tom Brady owns a piece of them. The Chargers, of course, have Justin Herbert, and Tennessee thinks they may have found a quarterback in Will Levis. Or pick behind door number 2, which is a team that has not fired a coach yet, but in your opinions, might consider it because this guy's available?
Yeah, for me, it's probably the Atlanta Falcons, solely because right now, if I'm the Falcons, and who knows what happens in Chicago, Ryan Poles says, you know what, we don't like you, Justin Fields.
Right.
Thank you for your time. If I'm the Atlanta Falcons, you go get Justin Fields, you tell Bill Belichick to come on, and now your whole franchise flips upside down, and now you're going upward. So for me, the Falcons seem good. They have a scrappy, good defense. Talk about Kyle Pitts, Drake.
But you're basing that if they acquire a quarterback.
If they acquire Justin Fields.
Gotcha. How about you, Gregory?
Well, there's a team that already has Justin Fields that has a really good defense, and I feel like Justin Fields can be that franchise face. You said you let Luke Getsy go, your offensive coordinator, and you kept Matt Eberflus. Maybe that was the wrong decision. Who knows? Bill Belichick is available now. Chicago Bears will be a great fit, in my opinion.
I'm going door number 2.
Go ahead.
I'm going straight to the Philadelphia Eagles. If this has been a disaster for the last 6 weeks, an absolute disaster. Do they lose to the Cardinals if Bill Belichick's the head coach? Do they lose to the Giants? They go down 24-0 at the half to the Giants and Bill Belichick the head coach? I'm going to say no. And one thing we say about Bill Belichick is I don't think he's going to go to a team like the Commanders that has a third pick. Draft a rookie quarterback. I think he's going to go to a turnkey situation that's missing a head coach. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles are a Super Bowl contending team if he's the head coach. And with Nick Sirianni's complete implosion the last 6 weeks, that would be the number one place that I think he's the best fit.
Which is why I think door number 2 is the door. Whether it's the Eagles, if they lose to Tampa, all of a sudden Eagle fans are going to be clamoring.
Even if they lose to Dallas.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, he went to a Super Bowl last year, but the way this season ended and the way Nick Sirianni's kind of lost the locker room, I'm telling you, there are teams like Philly. I think Dallas would absolutely, if they lose to Green Bay, make a consideration. I think if San Francisco spits the bit, and you could start saying to yourselves, boy, Shanahan's a great coach. Don't say he's not. But, man, he hasn't gotten over the hump yet. And you could blame the injury to Brock Purdy last year. Right. We all accept that. But there's no excuses this year. So I do think there's going to be, potentially, obviously, a mystery team that's not even on the radar right now, where you have to imagine for a second that you're the owner of the franchise. All right, you don't listen to the fan base. You know the old adage, if you listen to the fans, you'll be sitting next to them soon enough, right? So if I'm the owner, and I take stock of the fact that I do think I've got a quarterback, and I think I've got the talent, but, man, I'm missing that one piece. What's that piece? A guy that's done it.
Yep.
A guy that's done it better than anybody else has done it. I don't need him to make personnel decisions. I need him to coach the great talent I've got. No one's better than this guy doing that. So I do think Philadelphia, which we brought up a few weeks ago, makes a lot of sense. Again, no disrespect to Mike McCarthy. I do think if Dallas, somehow pulls a Dallas and gets eliminated early, I think it's got to be on the table. And then you start looking at, who are the owners, right? When you're talking about, especially in Dallas, an 80-something-year-old owner who is impetuous, who's dying to win. Money's not an issue, obviously. It shouldn't be for any of these owners. But you've got all the talent you could possibly want to make runs and to win. And the only team you're really chasing in the NFC, let's be fair about it right now, is San Francisco. Right? You bring in a proven winner like Bill Belichick with that kind of talent. If I'm Jerry Jones, and imagine specifically for this part of the conversation, would you be shocked if Dallas doesn't get to an NFC Championship game? If Jerry says, I'm 82 years old, I think Mike's done a great job in the regular season, but I have a rare opportunity to get the best. You don't think he at least makes that phone call?
Yeah, you also got to understand Jerry's been there before, right? You got to understand when he hired Bill Parcells, it was to add stability to that organization, right? And Bill, we know the tuna as a big ego, the bully, yada, yada, yada. Well, Parcells was the guy that got him into the playoffs. Parcells was the guy that kind of put the Cowboy brand right where it needed to be because it was a shambles after that. So I can see it happening. But my concern isn't Jerry. It's where Bill is at mentally. What is he willing to allow? What is he not willing to allow? Because what we know from the optics is he's not a talker. He doesn't like outside distractions. He's all about football and nothing about football. Yeah. That's not the brand in Dallas. That's the only mix-up that scares me.
Except for this. In Dallas, the brand is Jerry does all the talking.
Correct.
Right.
So, and if you're bringing
But Kraft wasn't like that.
I know, but if you're bringing this guy in, we're using Dallas as a possibility. Yes. Obviously, it's not happening tomorrow, but it's on the table for sure. If you bring him in, Everyone involved with the Cowboys, from the 2-year-old fan to the cheerleader to every executive, also recognizes he's different. You're not going to get him to do certain things that a younger coach might do from an interview standpoint, a radio show standpoint, TV, appearances, all that stuff. You're bringing a serious businessman to win football games. Because remember, we talk about it all the time. When's the last time the Dallas Cowboys were in a Super Bowl, right? I've got an 80-plus-year-old owner now, and again, if Dallas gets to the NFC Championship game, I think it's a moot point. I think Mike McCarthy comes back. If the Eagles suddenly turn it on and beat Tampa and maybe look good in a win or a loss in the divisional round, maybe Sirianni saves his job. But it's very rare to have this pedigree available. I'm just happy he's out of the AFC East and he ain't going to bother my New York Jets for a little while.
And just to pivot a little bit, what happens with Mike McCarthy? Because the reason why Dak's playing great right now and the reason why this offense is flying high is because of Mike McCarthy in this offense. If you bring in Bill Belichick, he now has to find a guy that is not a regression of Dak's game in this offense who's going to progress and move forward.
Fair enough, but I think you get the band back together is what you do. You go back and get the guys that are part of the success you had. Good.
If there was one team that's in door number one, it would be the Chargers, clearly. Because
of Herbert.
Yeah,
I think we all agree on that. I do think it's the Chargers of the current jobs that are available, and then it's potluck, pick the team that you think. Chicago's interesting. Obviously, they got the draft pick or Justin Fields. Obviously, Dallas, Philly. There are interesting situations where, as of right now in the moment, owners haven't said, we're thinking about it because the guy wasn't available, an hour ago. So it's going to be great.
Yesterday, Eberflus was like, oh, no, we're fine. Eberflus is coming back. Today, I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, I want to just start packing my bags.
I know. I just saw a picture of him doing that.
Taking stuff off the walls.
Like he's like, I got to put the plaque and the trophies back in. And, oh, my beautiful family.
Eberflus bought 20 boxes at U-Haul today.
Eberflus is 10-24 in his last 2 seasons. They went 7-10 this year. And there's no way I feel comfortable right now. If I'm telling my wife, I'm like, listen, pack everything up. I'm out.
I want you to ponder a question going to a very quick break. Because I do believe sports needs villains. Whether 100%. It was Duke basketball back in the day or Notre Dame football. Alabama, of course. Nick Saban's out in Alabama. So the SEC's just lost a villain that we could all rally against if we're not, Alabama fans and we root for any other team, right? This guy's a villain. Outside of New England, he's the most hated guy in the NFL for a quarter of a century. So as I'm trying to figure out going to break, who's the new villain in the NFL? Don't give me an answer now. I want you to actually put some thought into it.
I actually got it.
I don't ask for much. Just a little bit. A little taste.
That's a lot.
Who's the new villain? Who's the new hated franchise in the NFL? Right after this. It's an awkward, slow.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Carter Show. We have breaking news. Bill Belichick will no longer be the head coach of the New England Patriots. Before we get to where is he going to go, before we get to what happens next with the Patriots,
we're going to celebrate.
We're going to start with credit cards to celebrate the fact that he is no longer going to terrorize your Jets.
I'm having a great day. I'm having a great day.
Go Craig.
I'm having a great day.
Yeah.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. The wicked witch is dead. Ding dong, come on, Josie, go. Ding dong, the witch is dead. The wicked witch is dead. Ding dong, the witch is dead. The wicked witch is dead. Ding dong, the witch is dead.
Oh, okay, he's getting a little
Bill, what a glorious day to be alive.
Bill, good morning.
To be an American and to see the end of the reign of terror in the AFC East.
It's over, man.
Did you ever beat Bill Belichick?
Yeah, I beat him.
You did?
Once or twice.
Once. More like once.
No, twice. I got him twice.
Yeah. Anyhow, 24 years, 6 titles, 9 Super Bowl appearances. Press conference coming up 4 hours from now. Look, you know the accolades. Biggest villain in sports, too. And now it's over. And I love it.
Yeah, you have to love it because I think all of us who have, we all talk about our fandom and who we support. He's been the demise of it all, right? He's been dominant with Brady, and he's been the talk of the town for so long. So finally that we got new, fresher breath air. Belichick's gone. Now, where he will land, nobody knows. But the fact that he's gone, you got to celebrate that.
Yeah, and by the way, this, unlike the Nick Saban thing, I don't think this catches anybody by surprise. This has been rumored and talked about for so many months now as another Patriots season very quickly went downhill. And now the question is, by all accounts, again, we're not the insiders of this. We're reacting as you guys are. I can tell you that my phone blew up when we first announced the news that was reported online that Belichick was out. I got 50 text messages from New York Jet fans. I'll just give you an example real quick of one. Best news I've heard this year.
And last year.
I mean, it's the 6th day of the year.
It's a fair point. Yeah. I'm so tired of that guy.
Yeah.
Let me just go through. What a douche. I hope he doesn't wind up in the NFL next year unless he goes to Carolina so he can lose some more. And on and on and on. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of pro-Tom Brady talk now as well. We're now going to kind of talk about the narrative of, where is he now at 72 years old? Can he command a team the way he did with all that success? Is he simply a product of Tom Brady's greatness, or does he get credit for creating Tom Brady's greatness? And all that stuff we can talk about, for weeks and weeks to come. But right now in the moment, Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots parting ways is going to create kind of like I don't want to say an avalanche, kind of like a
earthquake, domino effect,
tsunami,
butterfly wing.
Hold on, you're going butterfly flap. What are you going with?
Shockwave.
Shockwave. Yeah, I like that one.
That's good.
You have one.
I would say eruption.
You lose the shockwave.
Sorry, Dave.
All right. Now there's shockwaves because we know there's 7 openings right now currently in the NFL. And Pete Carroll leaving Seattle last night, or being fired and let go, was a huge surprise to everyone. That kind of came out of left field. We're not in Seattle covering the Seahawks. Maybe it wasn't for them. But nationally, I think that was a bit of a jolt to a lot of people. But now, if you're a fan of a team that has not yet lived up to whatever the expectations you might have, meaning a Buffalo, meaning a Philly, meaning a Dallas, meaning a San Francisco, meaning the Chargers right there on that list, all of a sudden, you at least have to have the conversation. And having done sports talk radio in this country for 30 years, in a lot of different markets, like Buffalo, like Cleveland, like Philly, and nationally, and all that stuff in New York and New Jersey, I can tell you what I'd be doing in every one of those markets. I would be getting my bullhorn out, demanding that my owner go give Bill Belichick the richest deal in the history of football.
I just want to say this. Can we throw one more team out there?
Yeah, but let me check.
No. Hey, can Willie throw a team out there,
Can we
guys?
throw one more team out there?
Fine.
Okay,
Do it, Willie. You got green light. Green light.
What about the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Oh.
Because this is what I know. This is what I know. I'm going to be 100 with you. The Jacksonville Jaguars cleared their defensive staff, right? When those guys left, former players, by the way, one of them was my guy who I played with by the name of Deshae Townsend, right?
Okay.
They left in a hostile way. They left in a manner where they were yelling, y'all think we're the problem. It's the offense. It's Doug Peterson. It's those guys, but y'all firing us. The removal of his defensive staff was ugly. Trevor Lawrence, who we've all talked about it, franchise quarterback. Supposedly to be the best quarterback in the division. Clearly it's not. It's C.J. Stroud.
That's right.
This franchise has regressed. The defense had 18 takeaways early in the season, was actually doing better than the offense. They have a Calvin Ridley. They have a Christian Kirk. They have Evan Ingram. They have pieces. Trevor Lawrence with Bill Belichick. You talk about your franchise quarterback saying one thing. You repeated it.
Yep.
We don't know what the hell we do.
He said that
We're
was Trevor Lawrence.
practicing.
Yep. Trevor Lawrence
that doesn't happen underneath Bill Belichick.
If you don't remember.
I'm the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
We don't like you, Duval, but we got to talk about you. If every last money in that franchise, you say buy Doug Peterson. Why? Because you've been fired before in Philly, right? After you won a Super Bowl, 4-11, whatever. You got the hell up out of there. I'm getting you the hell up out of here again. Go get him, Jacksonville.
And this is the point I was trying to make earlier today, and I'm going to make it throughout this week for sure. Every other city in America that's got an NFL team and a fan base that's dying for a run to a Super Bowl, even if they kind of like their head coach, I'm sure Jacksonville likes Doug Peterson a lot.
Oh, yeah.
He kind of restored some, normalcy and competency to what was going on in Jacksonville, which they were missing for a long time. And maybe he can only get them to here. And again, this guy's just different.
Yeah.
If I'm a Jaguar fan, all 19 of you, if there is sports talk radio in Jacksonville, there probably is. I'm on the horn right now. Yeah, I would come up with something that rhymes because I'm clever that way. I don't have it right now. But I'd be demanding that my owner go out there.
Write the check, hire Belichick.
Bang.
Yes.
Can I write that check? Hire Belichick. Yeah, but that's check and check.
Hire Belichick. I like it. Hire
I said it didn't work. I said it didn't
It's a
work.
call
I
and response.
appreciate the Jaguar fan in the back.
It's a call and response. That's what it is.
But look, I'm glad you brought them up because I
didn't
was
think
totally.
of that. But if Doug Peterson had appointments to look at properties to buy in Jacksonville, he canceled. Matt Eberflus canceled any opportunity that any head coach had to buy in the city they're currently coaching just got canceled.
So I think from this standpoint, out of the teams that are not in the playoffs, the teams that have either already fired their coach or they haven't fired their coach, but they're not in the playoffs, the one thing I do think we all are on the same page on, from a quarterback standpoint, the Chargers are the best opportunity because Herbert's legit, right?
Oh, no.
No disrespect.
Cowboys.
No, I'm saying team not in the playoffs.
Not in the playoffs.
Yeah, of the teams that haven't gotten in yet and haven't fired their coach, the Chargers having Justin Herbert is an obvious we need to talk because you've got the quarterback and a lot of the pieces, right? Then you graduate that conversation to teams, again, not in the playoffs, but who haven't fired their coach. And that's why Jacksonville, your Chicago Bear take, are very interesting because no one's going to argue that, the cupboard's bare there. They've got legitimate talent on both sides of the ball. And maybe it's just a lack of leadership, competency, experience, all the things, whether we like them or not, that this guy does bring to the table.
The only pushback that I would have about the Jacksonville Jaguars, which I agree with you, it would be a great spot. However, do you have the best quarterback in that division? Are you going to be competing against Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson if he can turn into what you hope he can? We know what C.J. Stroud is. They won that division. You assume they get healthier, they might be even better next year. So I think one of the elements that we don't look at that Tom Brady was very mindful of is where I go and who has the talent in that division and is it the best in that division and do I make that team immediately the front runner to win that division by a landslide? I think the NFC South, that's why I mentioned the Chicago Bears because as great as Detroit has been, you kind of question who they really are. We don't know that in the postseason. We'll see. The Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love, he's in the playoffs. Chicago Bears, can they make that push? I just think where he ends up going, will he has the best situation and how easy will it be for
And by the way, the Chicago Bears won, 7 games this year? 7 to 10, I think, right?
Yes.
With Justin Fields, who had some moments. I'd had some bad moments as well, but you won 7 games with a coach that most people think ain't that great.
Yeah, but where do old Cajuns head when they get old? South, right? They go to Florida.
Yes.
Right? So you don't think Bill Belichick, who's tired of putting on that ski mask and a jacket, wants to wear flip-flops and a visor and coach football? Of course he does. But what I love about Bill Belichick going forward is that the fact that he now has, you talked about everything lined up for him. Trevor Lawrence. Up until this year was a total regression, right? He needs direction. If you're Khan, the owner, I have this big-time quarterback who's dedicated to the team and wants to do right by this team. He needs direction. You go get a Bill Belichick, this franchise changes for the next 10 years, right? Even if he only have him for 3 years, because of the foundation of culture he's going to set. So for me, go get him.
Here's an interesting angle: is we know that Bill Belichick he says he's not done coaching, he still wants to coach, and we all assume he wants a Super Bowl, right? Another thing he wants is he is a historian of football.
Yes, he is.
He loves the history of football, and he is 15 wins away from beating Don Shula. So he's got that in mind.
2 years, right?
Yeah, so he's thinking, where can I go? He doesn't want to go to Chicago, draft Caleb Williams, and build from the ground.
No.
He wants to go to a place that's a turnkey situation where he can get those 15 wins in 2 years. So 2 years from today, he'll be the number one winningest head coach.
And I do think
that is a factor.
I'm with you on that. I just took a look. I did not know it's off the top of my head, so I know you think I'm a genius.
You are a genius.
Thank you. I know how to Google. I'm damn good at it. So Trevor Lawrence, since you brought up Jacksonville, has played 1 game in his young career against the New England Patriots with Bill Belichick as the head coach. Now, Belichick, quite famously, is a problem for all young quarterbacks. That's well known throughout his career, that if you have a first or second year quarterback, they don't beat you.
2 and 15 against rookie quarterbacks.
No matter what they got on offense, that defense knows how to stop and confuse young quarterbacks, with schemes and audibles and all that kind of stuff. Trevor Lawrence, in the 1 game he played against the Bill Belichick defense, was 17 of 27, 193 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. So if I'm Bill Belichick, maybe I don't want to coach Trevor Lawrence because I know how easy it is to defend against him.
Yeah, but you also know what you worst coaching. Bill Zappi, Mac Jones, and Cam Newton. So
yeah, look, I think the one thing, again, we all agree on, I think America agrees on, when you're Bill Belichick and you do have your pick of the litter, because he is now the best available coaching candidate. I don't care what the team is. You are going to do exactly what Tom Brady did because it's smart. It's part of your legacy now. It's, I'm going to go to a situation where they most likely haven't won a Super Bowl or been to one in a long time, but they got the pieces. They just need a guy like me to help them put it all together. Dallas, Philly, San Francisco. Don't sleep on San Francisco. I know Shanahan has done this great job.
That's a wild
This is wild, Craig.
Look,
we're talking about potential NFC champion.
I know,
Yeah,
but you have to remember.
Heavily favored to be in the Super Bowl.
A week ago when I came out and told you if Belichick gets fired or they agree to part ways, that I would consider Philly and Dallas, you guys looked at me cross-eyed also. I'm going to add a third team to that. San Francisco. If somehow, some way, they don't get over that hump, they're unlike a lot of teams. Getting to the championship game ain't enough because they were there last year, and they're healthy, and they got all the talent in the world, right? And they acquired more talent at the trade deadline, and their defense is stout. And offensively, we talk about the weapons, and you've got the machine at quarterback. If San Francisco does not make it to the Super Bowl, and I'm the owner, I love you, Shanahan. Peace out. That's my guy.
That would be
and I'll give you an example.
Now you're talking about a real villain.
This would be Phil Jackson going from Chicago to LA.
Yep.
That's what this is.
Yep.
This is a guy who won when he had great talent and was very smart about what the next job is. Oh, I can coach Kobe and Shaq? Okay, I'll take that job, right? And when the Knicks hired him not to be a coach, failed miserably. I'm hiring him to be my coach. And I'm going to take a guy that won 6 titles with Tom Brady. I'm going to bring him that level of talent. I can almost guarantee multiple titles. San Francisco, Shanahan, you're on the clock.
Interesting. So here's the problem. Nick Saban thought we were going to celebrate him all day today.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll thought we were going to celebrate him all day today. Pete Carroll and Nick Saban are like, I'm not even in the news today. I'm not even in the news. But
Bill
by the
got
way,
me again.
our second headline, which you only have 30 seconds for, is that Nick Saban is no longer the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
There you go.
Sorry, Nick. No one cares. Bill Belichick's available. Maybe Belichick goes to Alabama.
Yeah, 7 national titles, 6 with Bama, 1, of course, with LSU. I think shocked the sports world with the announcement yesterday that he's retiring. So think about what's taking place in the last 24 hours. And they're both very good friends.
They are.
Very good friends where, Nick sends guys to him that most people haven't heard of to give a look-see. He speaks at Nick's camp every year. All great, right? They are the 2 biggest villains from a coaching standpoint
100%.
in sports today, at least in football today, right?
Yeah.
College football, it was always screw Nick Saban, glad Michigan beat him in overtime. Bill Belichick, screw Bill Belichick, he's won enough. And in a 24-hour period, and I don't think there's much debate on this, for the greatest college coach, certainly of the last 100 years, and the greatest NFL coach, for sure, of all time, to retire within 24 hours of each other, or at least for him to leave New England, not retire, but Saban to retire, but neither one of them coming back next year to Bama and New England respectfully, is something that you could have never predicted, unless they were in cahoots about it.
Yeah, I mean, why would friends
you
talk to each
retire
other?
first, all the nice.
It's crazy.
But you're right, Nick Saban's probably like, I can't wait to turn on FS1 today.
It's not getting
It's
texted.
going to be all about me.
Right.
People are texting Nick Saban and be like, where's Belichick going?
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is. I didn't see that one coming. I know it was a devastating loss, in overtime to Michigan. But, you don't even have to recruit anymore. The kids come to you like bees to pollen, right?
Yeah, that has changed. That has changed, and that's why I think Nick Saban understands. I'm going to get out while I can because he's
NILs, you mean?
NIL has changed the whole landscape of recruiting. It's no longer look at my helmet. You got the A on the helmet. You need to come here if you want to get to the next level. I can get you there. Now it's when you are recruiting, you're trying to convince kids that I can get you the best for your brand.
Sure.
I can get you the most amount of money. All the
whole different thing.
That's not what he's trying to get done.
I can tell you they've already lost their 5-star wide receiver recruit in the last 12 hours. And the way it works, just real quick, just to explain it to you, when a coach decides he's leaving, the kids on that team have a 30-day window now to go into the portal and go anywhere they want. Now, if Alabama wants to keep all that talent there, I have the solution. Just call Deion up and tell him to come right
that's
over.
the only way. Right? The only way. It is the only way. It is absolutely the only way.
Deion, Alabama. Prime time in Tuscaloosa.
I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the story in Colorado. I don't dismiss the fact that he did change the way people view Colorado. But he could take his kids with him. He could take Travis with him. I go right to Alabama, and I'm the heir apparent to Nick Saban. Wow. If Alabama wants to keep all those recruits that are now saying with their families, maybe I don't go to Alabama now. I don't know who the head coach is going to be. If I'm Alabama, I got a Brinks truck at Deion's house saying, just tell us what it takes. We want you to come. That's what I would do. Because here's the reality. I don't lose anybody if I bring Deion in to be my head coach. I keep every one of those recruits, and I bring Colorado's best players,
I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. There's a culture fit. There's a culture fit that might not be exactly perfect.
All right, we got much more coming your way. Of course, Saban is out in Alabama. Pete Carroll got fired. Wow. In Seattle. And the breaking news this morning, press conference coming up at 12 Eastern today. Now, I don't know how it works with this network, but do we air that?
Yes.
Are we carrying that live?
Yes.
Colin Coward announcement. I'd like to know. Anyhow, obviously, throughout the day, tons more on Bill Belichick. The sweet taste of the nectars of the gods as we are celebrating the fact here in New York that Bill Belichick is no longer the head coach of the New England Patriots. Press conference coming up at 12 o'clock today. We got Jacoby as a Bills fan celebrating. We got Greg Jennings, who lost the big game to Bill at some point in his career, celebrating. And we've got Willie Colon, who lost so many AFC playoff games for them. I've lost count, also celebrating, which brings us now to a moment we all like. It's a Bill Belichick themed Willie or won't he?
I love it!
All right, big fella, you ready to go?
That's right.
Bill Belichick will coach a current playoff team next year. Will he or won't he?
I'm gonna say he will. I'm gonna say he will, and I gotta pass the ball to Craig. Philadelphia Eagles have a problem.
Yep.
That's the bottom line. Their defense have regressed. The reason why we talk about the Philadelphia Eagles in such a negative light is solely because of their defense. They've been horrible. I mean, you talk about a 70-sack team. They got like 23 on the season. All their stars and secondaries are atrocious. You talking about an already built-in, ready-to-go captain quarterback of Jalen Hurts with all the offensive pieces. If the Eagles do not win, if they lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by Baker Mayfield and Todd Bowles, get him out of there. It's over. He's lost the locker room.
Now, I'm going to add a little ring to this real quick, all right? If I'm an Eagle fan, I hope I lose.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
I
like it.
Let me just walk you through real quick.
I like it.
If I'm an Eagle fan, and I know my team that lost 5 out of 6 and embarrassed themselves against Arizona and the Giants, right? I know I'm not winning the Super Bowl this year because the team's broken. There's blood in the water. There's a mutiny against the coach. So even if I beat Tampa, so what? I'm going to lose next week to whomever I play, right? If losing to Tampa gets me Bill Belichick for 5 years, I'm an Eagle fan. I'm pulling for Tampa because I'm looking at the big picture. And the big picture is I've been to 3 Super Bowls. I do have the 1 win. I had the Philly special. I feel pretty good about it. I beat him, right?
Correct.
So he also beat me once, right down in Jacksonville, that Super Bowl. But I get 5 years from this guy who's now got a chip on his shoulder and he wants it. I want to lose to Tampa if that gets me Bill Belichick. Yes, that's what. That's what I want to do.
I think they should.
How about that?
I say he won't because I don't believe that the Philadelphia Eagles will lose. Obviously, they can lose, but I don't think they.
Maybe you lose on purpose.
Dallas is the other team. I don't know if they lose. Obviously, San Francisco's not playing this round, so I don't think it happens.
And we do have our first guest of the new year on the show. If I just may come over here to get a take on Bill Belichick before we get back to Willie or Ronnie.
Yes.
America wants to know. Greg's nipples. What do you think about Bill Belichick? Greg's nipples?
Greg. Flexing on the action.
They're so nipple
By the way,
forward today.
Greg's nipples are the best analysts in the game.
Right.
I'll tell you that.
Yes, they are.
They're pinpoint accurate.
We got to submit them for an Emmy.
All right. Number 2. Not for Greg's nipples, for you.
Right, thank you.
Bill Belichick will win another Super Bowl. Will he or won't he?
This was tough. I'm gonna say he won't.
Oh,
I like it.
I just don't.
Well, if he's in Philly, I hope you're right.
Right. I don't. I think Bill Belichick, to your point, you kind of spot on with this as well. He's a great game day coach.
Yeah.
But to go to the Super Bowl, sometimes you need a little bit of a roster, you need talent, and you need a little bit of luck. I think he's run out of his luck, right? That's why we've seen him be bad these last couple of years. I do think he moves on to a great contender, but actually hoisting another Lombardi, I just can't see it.
Craig, what do you think? It's hard to win one. He's got 6. Obviously, he's got a couple as a coordinator with Bill Parcells and the Giants, of course. You think he wins another one?
I do. I think he goes to a situation where he understands that I have the talent, the roster, and I can put the coaching staff available or together to where we can win. Tom Brady did it. He wants to do it. Like, he wants to be able to say, I won one without Tom, the same way Tom can say, I won one without Bill.
I think that's really interesting. Do you really think that's a factor? You think he's saying, I want to win one without
I happen to agree with that because all he's heard for the last 4 years is Brady won it not just without
That
you.
was Tom's motivation.
In his first year without you. And took Tampa back to the playoffs again.
And every show has the same graphic that we have is Bill Belichick with Tom Brady, Bill Belichick without Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Every show has that graphic.
Look, I think the one thing successful people have, not just athletes, is that competitive streak in them, the fire in the belly that sets them apart from the average person. And there's no doubt he has what you had, what you have, what Tom Brady had. You don't think Brady gets great joy as a person that he can read the headlines? I won without him. He didn't win without me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just from an ego standpoint and a satisfaction standpoint, it has to drive him bonkers. Because if I'm Bill Belichick, I don't want to hear this crap about I can't win without Tom Brady and all our success was based on Tom. Because if I'm Bill, I made Tom Brady. It'd be like Dr. Frankenstein not getting credit for Frankenstein.
Well, Bill, read Craig.
Yeah,
read the graphic. Like,
read it, Craig.
We throw the graphic back up.
Which graphic do you want me to see?
His eyes are bad.
4 seasons, 8 games under 500, no playoff wins.
0!
And 4 starting quarterbacks. He had 1 playoff appearance. They got waxed by the Buffalo Bills.
Shouldn't even count.
Gave up 40 points in that game. That being said, you follow what I'm saying? Like, everyone's got an ego. You can't even do this without some level of belief in yourself and an ego. Bill Belichick, it burns him to his core that people dare question the mad genius, and it's all Brady, Brady, Brady.
But how has he responded?
I question it.
Yeah,
I really question his current ability.
That drives him bonkers. That's why he can't stay married. That's why he's a miserable douche to a lot of people because he can't sleep at night because all he hears is he only won because of Tom Brady. And he's like, I created Tom Brady. Tom Brady was a weak-armed, 6th-round quarterback who lost his job in Michigan to Drew Henson. I created the monster.
What's the famous Jay-Z line? Did you create a hole? Well, I'm going to create another one. Here's a great opportunity. Where are you going to go? Because at the end of the day, if your legacy is tied to Tom Brady, and you created Tom Brady,
I created the beast.
Do it again.
Another one.
You got the recipe. Go do it again.
Okay, then that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Bill Belichick will be coaching in the NFC next year.
Oh, yeah.
Will he or won't he?
I'm going to say he will.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, something tells me, man, like, listen, if Greg mentioned the Chicago Bears, I'm going to be honest, I still think the Atlanta Falcons is a great landing spot for him.
I don't without a quarterback.
Really? I think if you have it, but the caveat is, you get Justin Fields from Chicago.
I like the fact that you're picking a team in a lousy division.
That's one of the reasons.
I like that. Which is why the Trevor Lawrence thing is interesting.
Yep.
But Desmond Ridder is not going to be the guy that makes Bill Belichick go, I'll see you in the ATL. I can promise you that, even if the chicken wings are good at the Dynasty Club. Just putting it out there.
Magic City.
Yeah, sorry about that. All right, I got one more for you. Without Bill Belichick in the moment, the new villain in the NFL is Andy Reid.
No.
Too lovable.
Will he be the new villain, or won't he?
No, everybody loves Andy. You talk about each cheeseburger looks like a walrus and he's fun to watch on the sideline.
Yeah,
but for me, the new villain, if there was, it has to be the Baltimore Ravens. It has to be John Harbaugh. It has to be this defense that doesn't believe in gimmicks, is beat you in the face football.
Yeah, but don't you have to win a lot of Super Bowls and be the perennial #1 seed?
You don't think Baltimore's going to win
be the villain? I think Baltimore's going to be in it. But I think the NFL, all sports, listen, we need villains.
Yeah, see,
he's a villain. The Patriots were villains. Tom Brady was a villain.
I don't think it's necessarily Andy Reid. I definitely believe it's the Chiefs.
Oh,
I definitely believe
as
it's
a
the Chiefs
franchise?
because everybody's kind of getting worn out with Travis Kelce, with even Patrick Mahomes at times. Just seeing that,
Fair.
I think it's the Chiefs. But to your point, everybody kind of loves Andy Reid
because he's fat.
Yeah,
right? It's
people
a
like
thing.
fat people.
Yeah, like.
I mean, we're talking about Andy Reid. It has nothing to do with Willie. Willie's cutting calories.
I'm Greg's nipples. Who's the biggest villain in the NFL? Can we get that?
Chiefs.
Oh,
Greg's
man.
in shape, we're not. Bottom line.
Victoria's Secret's like, that's not what we had in mind, but okay, we'll deal with it.
We're going to keep showing it. I'm going to display it.
I'm sorry.
Your nipples look great, Greg. Look great.
If you're just tuning in,
cold in here. That's the problem.
we found out a couple hours
big
ago.
stories.
Bill Belichick is out. There'll be a press conference at 12. We have a couple other big nipple stories. I'm sorry. Nick Saban is out in Alabama. That's on his own. He decided to step down. And Pete Carroll gets fired but kept on as a consultant for the Seattle Seahawks. Three guys who've all won titles, multiple titles, on different levels, of course, in their coaching career, are all out within a 24-hour period. I don't remember that ever happening
There has to be a
in
name
the
for
NFL.
this week. Well, there has to be a theme. What can we call this?
I'll come up with something.
Okay.
Right after this.
Breaking news! 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 I'm tired now.
Woohoo!
Love it.
As we find out today that Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots are going their separate ways, and we're in a celebration. I remember a footnote to the story, and a very important footnote to this story, is that the last game he ever coached for the New England Patriots was an embarrassing loss to the same old Jets.
Do it again.
Just the same old Jets.
Yeah.
So for all the
Important
losses.
footnote, huh?
Yes, very important footnote. For all the losses we suffered, for all the division titles we did not win, for all the playoffs we were home watching
Bill.
in bad weather, we're the team that ended his career in New England. And I was just told by a friend who's very close to the Kraft family that Robert Kraft couldn't stand the fact that the New York Jets beat them to embarrass them and end their season. And that was the final straw in the Patriot career
Great point.
of Bill Belichick. You did it, Robert Saleh.
Robbie! My guy Bobby.
Now, I
Bobby
put a
Saleh.
request in for Robert to come on the show to gloat about ending Bill Belichick's career in New England. I have not heard back yet, probably because he's concerned that Belichick stays in the AFC.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, or goes to the Bills.
Yeah.
Or goes to the Jets.
So, in any event, Bill Belichick is out. Nick Saban is out. Pete Carroll is out. But now the question is going to be who are the candidates, right, that are going to fill those shoes? And that's a tough thing. Like, do you want to be the guy that replaces the legend in Bill Belichick, or would you rather be the guy after the guy? Because even though they only won 4 games this year, and they did miss the playoffs 3 out of 4, and all the stats that you guys have brought up, rightfully so, in the end of Bill Belichick's career in New England over the last couple of years, the reality is that you're still stepping into the shoes of the greatest coach of all time. And you are going to be judged not even based on what you do solely, but based on what he's done for 24 years in New England. Some people don't want that kind of smoke. Some people are all about it. 2 of the names that have come out, and they've kind of, to be fair, been out there for months now, is 2 former players. Gerard Mayo.
I love, by the way. I know Gerard personally, great dude.
But Gerard Mayo, who obviously doesn't have any level of coaching experience. And the other one, of course, is Mike Vrabel, who does.
No brainer.
Now,
Played against both.
By the way, maybe you bring both guys in. So I think you have a lot of wiggle room there if you're New England. Again, I've made this point in the show. I always try to put myself in the shoes of a fan base we're talking about. And while I dislike the New England fan base, and they've had this great run with 6 titles and 9 appearances and all that stuff, if I'm a Patriot fan, do I want Gerard Mayo because I liked him as a player and he's a well-regarded guy, but I have no idea if he's going to be a competent head coach? Or do I want a Mike Vrabel, who I've seen take a Titan team to an AFC championship game and have success with, to be fair, an average quarterback in Ryan Tannehill? Do I want both guys to come in here? One as coordinator, one as head coach. Or is there somebody else out there, a young hot stud prospect in the college game, a hot-to-trot coordinator, like a Mike McDaniel kind of thing? Which direction do you think Patriot fans would want them to go now that you're losing the legend?
For me, I think you go with Gerard Mayo, honestly.
Okay.
I think he's been groomed to be the next successor. I think he's done a great job thus far of learning how Bill Belichick goes about being Bill Belichick for the New England Patriots. He has a great relationship with Robert Kraft, been a part of the winning organization, not only played, but now has coached. I think you even with Bill leaving, you need a thread of Bill Belichick still in the building, right? Like it's very like when I was a Pittsburgh Steeler, I had Bill Cowher for a year, right? And then we had the addition of Mike Tomlin. One of the threads that kept them together was the brand of football they wanted to play and how they wanted to look. And what represented was the 6 Super Bowl trophies, along with the historic factor that these guys, from the Steel Curtain till now, there was what they wanted to do like. I think Gerard Mayo keeps that consistency and that stability. So for me, it's Gerard Mayo.
I wouldn't mind Gerard Mayo, but when you look at the history of Belichick's coaching tree, they haven't had success, and so he would be one of those guys that falls under that coaching tree. So I would go with what I know, a coach that has done some things with a franchise that was down in the dumps. And that is that's Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, I also want to respond to what you said because I think it's a fair conversation piece regarding the Belichick coaching tree, which really emanates from the Parcells tree, to be fair. A lot of people talk about how he has had, none of his assistants have had any level of legitimate success in the NFL. And I know Eric Mangini, I'm not sure if he's on this week with the First Things First guys, but I'd love to get Mangini's take on that because as a guy who did Sports Talk Radio in New York and covered Mangini, of course, where he went from, the Mangenius, back page of the New York Post, to the Mangidiot, no disrespect, when it didn't work out here, before he went to Cleveland to be the Browns head coach. A lot of the Belichick assistants all fell into a trap, and that was they weren't themselves. They tried to be Bill Belichick from a personality standpoint. I've met Eric Mangini. He does a great job here on our network with Nick and Chris and Kevin and the guys, and he's got a real good personality, and he never showed it as the head coach of the Jets or Cleveland because the thought process for McDaniels as well, and the failures he had in Denver and in Las Vegas with the Raiders is there's a lot to be said. We talk about Campbell all the time in Detroit. Yeah. He is authentic. There's no disputing who that guy is. You don't have to like it, but he's unwavering in who he is and what his personality is. NFL locker rooms can spot a fraud a million miles away. And Eric Mangini, McDaniels,
Judge, Patricia, Flores, and O'Brien.
So
keep naming
all those guys that do come directly from the branches of the Belichick tree, we've watched all of them. And the commonality of all of them is they try to be him. Now, you should learn from him from how to scheme a game plan, how to coach a defense, how to all the stuff that he did so well for so long on game day. But what the mistake all of them made is that he's being him, authentically him. Those guys weren't. So I can't speak about Gerard Mayo. I don't know him. You guys may know him and have followed him. If you're going to get the gig, you better be you. Don't try to be him, because to be fair, like you said, his coaching tree is not all that successful because they're all trying to be him. Be you, but take what you learned from him as a great head coach.
And listen, we saw it in Detroit. Remember when Matt Patricia got to Detroit?
Yeah.
Before he got there, it was Jim Caldwell who had a winning season, and the Detroit Lions were actually playing good football. Then, because I know some of the guys in Detroit, man, when Matt Patricia got there, that's the first thing they said. He's trying to be like Bill. We don't need you to be Bill, because the guys on our team were already winning. They were already changing. They already liked Jim Caldwell, and then they thought there's this mindset. Well, if we got Patricia, we're getting Belichick. It's not the same.
And it was like week 3, he beat the Patriots on Monday Night Football. And we all thought that Patricia was the next guy, and then he lost every game of the season.
And so that's why I lean to Vrabel, because you hear nothing but glowing talks about him from players and how they still. If you talk to the guys in that locker room right now in Tennessee, they wish he was still their head coach. So for me, you got a guy that knows how to do it a certain way. It works. He's smart. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying that Gerard Mayo is not these things.
Sure.
But because of what history has shown me, to your point about the coaching tree of Bill Belichick, I go with what I know has worked for another franchise and that I can bring because he understands the pedigree of who we are.
Yeah, not just that. New England Patriot fans love Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
Like he won Super Bowls for them, and he's had coaching success. So I'm a diehard fan. If you said to me, no disrespect to Gerard Mayo, who maybe will be a part of the staff kind of thing, and he elevates and he takes another major step forward towards becoming a head coach. If I'm a Patriot fan and you told me Mike Vrabel's the coach,
win the press conference.
I'm good with it.
You win the press conference with Mike with
100%.
Vrabel. So here's the thing that we haven't discussed yet, which I think is interesting. I didn't think this news would come down this week because I thought because they signed him to extension, I thought they would trade Belichick. He's worth like a late first round or a second round pick for Bill Belichick.
Easy.
There's so many franchises that would do that. The idea this news came out today tells me that there was a conversation between Kraft and Belichick where he said, listen, I'm not want to work with a trade. I don't want you to have power over where I go.
Yep.
I want to be free. And Robert Kraft said, you know what? Even though you're an asset that we have on our books, we're going to let you go. Yeah. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, they certainly had to have the conversation. And I thought when they, kind of surreptitiously let people know that we signed him to an extension, back in whatever it was, September, October, and nobody saw that coming, it seemed like that would be the reason why, as opposed to keeping him for another year after, what was good, obviously, season that was, off the rails there. But it seems like from everything we're hearing, that's not even the case.
No.
Now,
it's interesting.
We'll find out in
it's
news
a sacrifice.
today.
The Patriots are sacrificing.
I'm with you on that, Jacoby. I thought this was Robert Kraft protecting himself from the reality that they were going to agree to part ways, but I'm not going to let him go. Look, I don't think he's going to Buffalo, but for the sake of the conversation, if I'm New England, if I'm Robert Kraft, the reason I signed that extension is I don't want him coaching in my division.
No.
Now, there's a very good chance they have a gentleman's agreement. Hey, listen, we're going to let you go. Wish you the best. Thank you for everything you did.
Don't go
6
here.
titles, Ring of Honor, all that stuff. Hall of Fame, I'll be there. But you're not going to Buffalo.
You're not going to
I know you're not going to the Jets. And Miami seems pretty happy right now with Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even want him staying in the AFC if I'm Robert Kraft. But, that might be too much to ask for. So I do think that conversation happened. And I can tell you, having been close to people that are in the inner circle of New England, this is not a lack of respect. Bill Belichick respects the hell out of Robert Kraft, and Kraft does to him. And I can tell you, in the history of his coaching in New England, there was only one time only, that Robert Kraft overruled Bill Belichick when it came to signing a player. And the only player in 24 years that Bill Belichick wanted to bring in and Robert Kraft said no to was Ray Rice. There's not been another player in 24 years where Bill Belichick got overruled by Robert Kraft.
Yeah, for me, when I look at this situation, it's in what you just brought up. I feel like Bill Belichick could have made it very difficult for Robert Kraft and the organization if they were trying to trade him to a location and then take a draft pick from that location where he was going to end up being the head coach and having to rebuild a situation.
Right.
He wouldn't sign up for that.
Because he'd want the draft.
Because he wants the draft pick. And so you're not going to, I think we all are on the same page with, you don't fire Bill Belichick because optically that just looks bad. And so this was the only option. And I believe that they do have some type of agreement where he doesn't go within
but Kraft made it very clear at the beginning of the season. The goal was to get back into the playoffs and make a deep run into the playoffs.
Yes.
He believed Bill Belichick could do that. Bill Belichick hasn't been able to do that, right? So there's right now a point where Robert Kraft has to do 2 things. Whoever the next guy is going to be, does he represent the New England Patriots, and can he get them back to the promised land? On top of that, you got to find a damn quarterback. And you got to find somebody that can develop a quarterback.
What did they pick? 3rd, right?
Third.
Third. Yep. So they're going to have a quarterback.
So Kraft, as old as he is, He has a mountain ahead of him, right? Because you're letting go of one of the greatest coaches of all time, who you put your whole franchise and belief in. He has delivered, but right now you're at the bottom of the barrel. No, despite the New York Jets, you have to believe with Aaron Rodgers they're going to be better next year. As of right now, if the season ended today, the New England Patriots are the worst team in that division.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
100% right. And now they're going to have to try to develop a rookie quarterback again, because there's no doubt they're drafting a quarterback at third, and maybe they even move up. You know, we saw that last year with Carolina and Chicago.
Do you get an offensive minded head coach?
That's another angle, because if you're going to go and get one of these young quarterbacks, you want a coach that can relate and that can develop with that quarterback.
Yeah.
And that brings in an identity and some plan that they will have to develop that quarterback and kind of accelerate that process. Because, again, you're in the division. You just mentioned Aaron Rodgers. He'll be back. You're in the division with Josh Allen. You got to compete with him. You got to compete with Tua. Teams that have those quarterbacks that are either established or a head coach that pairs with that quarterback.
Well, yeah, we also did learn a valuable lesson this year, and that is if you have a competent coach and a good defense, a young quarterback can pay dividends right away. C.J. Stroud, in Houston. If you pick the wrong quarterback, or you don't have the right coach or the right system
it's a
or talent
pick.
there.
It's like picking a lottery. Like either you play and you lose, or you play and you hit the jackpot. Yeah. It's not easy for GMs to get an all-world quarterback that can bring you to a Super Bowl.
Look, and your point's right. When you take a look at the great quarterbacks that were drafted first overall, there's far more guys that were drafted out of the first round than first overall that are on their way to Canton, Ohio. So it is a lottery pick. And, is it Drake May? I don't know.
No.
Is it the kid from Washington who's 90 years old? I don't know. By the way, is it Caleb Williams? I don't know. And that's look, Arizona a couple years ago thought Josh Rosen was the answer.
So did I.
Right?
Oh, I did too. I thought he was the better quarterback.
And about 14 months later, they drafted Kyler Murray. Right. So it is a crapshoot. New England's going to have a rookie quarterback next year. There's no doubt about it. And a new coach, whether it's Vrabel or Mayer or someone that we're not even thinking of right now. But I have to tell you, what's today's date? Today's now a holiday. January 11th. Let's cancel President's Day. Nobody celebrates presidents anyway. And let's just make January 11th a new holiday. Matter of fact, from now on, tell the executives, I ain't working on January 11th no more.
Right. Tell the executives.
I am done. I'm not working on Bill Belichick firing day. What are you asking me to do now,
And I'm out on Martin Luther King Day, too.
They said go to break.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they want me to. You know what I like about what's going on upstairs?
What happened?
Right, what's going on upstairs right now is I finally converted the whole damn building. They're now thinking the right way. So while the big news today is Bill Belichick out in New England, Nick Saban, if you're a college guy, I get it, greatest college coach of all time.
Carroll
stepping down yesterday, gone with Alabama. Pete Carroll, 72 years old, peace out, out of Seattle. There's a lot of great sports storylines, but I win. I finally won. Upstairs is a guy named Alex. Alex doesn't like me very much, and he loves sports. He wants to talk sports and sports.
He wants to talk about the Knicks win streak.
But he just said in my ear, we've got a pretty good comparison photo. We want people to show you under the title of Who Wore It Better? Is it The Rock or is it my guy Greg Jennings?
Oh! Hey! Look at that! Great job, dude! Look at that!
I give you guys that.
Man, I gotta get in shape.
By the way, while you're staring at that cheesy 1980s candy right there on your screen, I do remind you that if you are just tuning in, this is the Carton Show. Bill Belichick is out as head coach
and Craig Jennings
New England, is in. And we'll discuss that with the Wheel of Bill.
The Wheel of Bill! Wheel of Bill! Love it!
That was good.
The Wheel of Bill! All right, here's how the wheel works. That's Bill Belichick in the middle. These are potential destinations for Bill Belichick. Spin that wheel! Okay, so that says the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
Mike McCarthy, of course, 1 playoff win, 3 full years. This is year number 4. Yep. Great regular season success. You got the quarterback. You got the defense. You got the wide receiver. You've got a really good offensive line. But they have not been to an NFC Championship game in a quarter of a century. Does Dallas make sense as a possible destination for B squared?
Yes.
B squared.
This is a but. Why? Because I understand that Jerry wants to win and he wants the Super Bowl, and Belichick is more than qualified. But does Belichick want to deal with Jerry Jones?
Well,
does Belichick wants to deal with the circus and the Dallas Cowboys?
Remember this. The mentor for Bill Belichick was Bill Parcells. Yep. Bill Parcells went to New England.
Yes.
Bill Parcells went to a Super Bowl. Didn't win it.
Yep.
Okay, great. Went to Dallas. Bill Belichick did what? Giants. Flirted with the Jets like Parcells did. Mm-hmm. Went to New England. Yep. Would it make sense that he takes that final step like Bill Parcells did?
You know what? This would be a great situation if the Dallas Cowboys were to lose this weekend to the Packers. And to your point of, does he want to deal with Bill Belichick or does he want to deal with Jerry? Yeah, he would win here. You talked about the wins, the all-time wins record. Yeah. He will have a chance to accomplish that almost in a season.
By Thanksgiving.
No, I'll give you one other thing real quick. I think we all do agree. If Green Bay goes into Dallas this weekend and upsets the Dallas Cowboys, it makes it very easy to just pivot from Mike McCarthy right to Belichick. That just makes sense to all of us because that'd be a major letdown for the Cowboys. I'm going to add a little wrinkle to it. Dallas beats Green Bay. Dallas beats, Philly in the divisional round. Yep. Dallas goes to a Super Bowl. They have a chance to win the Super Bowl, and Mike McCarthy has a terrible coaching blunder that specifically cost them the Super Bowl. Bye-bye.
Just one. But you went. They've gone to the Super Bowl.
No.
Busy, bye-bye.
No. If they beat the Niners in the NFC Championship, he's good for 5 years.
A kid can dream. Spin that wheel.
Here we go.
All right, so Matt Eberflus was barely able to survive Thanksgiving this year in Chicago. He's had 0 success there. They've had a major overhaul of talent over the last 2 years with a lot of draft picks. And to be fair, done a very good job of improving the talent that's on both sides of the ball. They did win 7 games, had a chance to go 8-9, had that last loss to Green Bay. They got the Packers in. You've got a question mark at quarterback. But if you don't like Justin Fields, you have the first pick overall in the draft, meaning if you thought May or Williams or whomever was that generational quarterback, he's all yours if you want him. Yep. You have a good defense. You've got some pieces now on offense, like a DJ Moore. Could you see Bill Belichick possibly going to the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, because this locker room needs credible stability. You're talking about this franchise who has done with multiple coordinators and head coaches. You need a guy like Bill Belichick to kind of bring the city back, right? If Bill Belichick is the Chicago Bears head coach, that building's filled. Whatever decision you make a quarterback, this is a different outfit with a really good defense.
I disagree, Willie, because when you look at these potential teams up here in this wheel, right? Every one of them has a quarterback, a franchise quarterback. And I don't think that Bill Belichick is interested in having a start-over, rebuilding, big rookie quarterback experience.
But you understand, Fields is better. Like, he's played better. He's experienced. Now you're talking about being with a head coach that he has no choice but to listen to and respect. I think he's a different
I would argue just one point of that, because I don't disagree with it conceptually. I think if Bill Belichick thought, and it was a universal thought, just use Caleb Williams as the name for now.
Sure.
That this kid can't miss. He's a lock. He's going to be great. And he lives up to that potential. I could see maybe that being attractive to a Bill Belichick. But like you're saying, the question mark of a 22-year-old kid who's never played at the NFL level, as good as he might be, is still a crapshoot.
Yeah, and I don't think you have to go and get another quarterback. What Justin Fields brings to the table, a lot of quarterbacks don't.
Okay, then let me stop you there. If we all agree that Bill Belichick is far better at coaching than Matt Eberflus.
The Flus.
Obviously, right? If Matt Eberflus won 7 games with the Chicago Bears, how many would Bill Belichick have won?
12.
Now you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
10.
Right?
Yeah.
I like Chicago. Spin that wheel!
I love this.
Now,
I love this.
I brought it up a week and a half ago. Everyone thought I was bat bleep crazy. You love it. Why?
This is the team that is the coach away from a Super Bowl championship.
I agree.
They have every position, every player is there. Just the coach is what is missing. And Nick Sirianni has lost the locker room. We've been talking about it for weeks. They are a coach away, and Bill Belichick is available. Whatever it takes, no matter how far they go in the playoffs, they should have the conversation.
You got an offensive line, get a little bit older, but a great offensive line. You've got 2 legitimate running backs in Swift and Gainwell. You've got a quarterback that did regress this year, to be fair, but he's a tough son of a bitch.
And where do they need to get better?
And he's the type of quarterback I think Belichick would respect and like working with from a work ethic standpoint. You've got a defense now that's beleaguered. And again, say what you want about Bill Belichick, he is a defensive genius.
He'll fix that.
He would make that defense overnight a much better defense. I thought it a week and a half ago, and I'm with Jacoby today. If Philadelphia loses to Tampa, I know it's going to happen in Philly, and those fans would be right. Number 1, get rid of Sirianni. He ain't the guy. Number 2, go get Bill Belichick.
What if they lose to Dallas or the Niners in the second round?
I think Eagle fans are still going to
call Belichick.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm 100% with you. I think you hit it right on the head. This defense, who last year was great for the Philadelphia Eagles, you can't find them on tape. They're horrible. No identity. They're bad in damn near every category.
Like 70 sacks to 30.
Yeah, they're bad. So my thing is, if you give Bill Belichick to help this defense, but you also give Bill Belichick to do one thing, stabilize this offense, right? Because one thing we know Bill Belichick loves to do is run the football.
Yes.
That's why you got Ezekiel. He loves running the ball. He doesn't solely depend on the quarterback's arm. So you add balance to this team, defense, running the ball, Philly football.
Yeah, you brought up a point about if you're a Philly fan, would you want them to lose this weekend? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Because you would have that guy.
If you are just tuning in, I had this brilliant idea.
You did.
That if I know I'm not winning a Super Bowl, and I know that in Philly because they've lost 5 out of 6 and they're a train wreck right now, or as we like to say, a dumpster fire. If I lose to Tampa and it gets me Belichick, it's the greatest loss the franchise ever had.
No question about it. And this is a team that I feel like is plug and play. You mentioned it. You alluded to it earlier in the show and just now. This will be a great fit.
Spin that wheel!
Let's do it. Let's go.
Big money,
Everybody's been looking.
All right, the LA Chargers. You know the dealio. Had a defensive genius as head coach. Terrible idiot. You have Justin Herbert signed through 2029. You got Austin Eckler. You got Allen. You see it on the screen. I don't have to read it to you. I'm dumb. All right, now, they have cap problems right now.
Yeah,
so they have to be very creative and how to negotiate around the cap if the idea is to acquire talent outside of the draft. They can't acquire any talent. So there's going to be some restructuring of contracts. But again, the calling card for the Chargers is one guy, Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Does that make sense for Bill Belichick?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it doesn't make sense for anybody else because Justin Herbert has been a great quarterback. He just hasn't won. The defense has failed him, right? When they got J.C. Jackson, they got Khalil Mack, and on and on and on, there was an expectation they were going to be winning, competing for the division, going on deep runs of the playoffs. That hasn't happened.
Major disappointment. No. And what's the majority of the disappointment been? That defense couldn't close games out.
And that's the key right there. Like, Justin Herbert has lived up to what the expectations are. Obviously, he hasn't won in the postseason, hasn't gotten in the postseason one season, but he has not been the reason why this team has failed. It has been the defense side of the ball, and you guys have said it. You got to believe that if Bill Belichick were in that outfit, that would be no issue no more.
All right, spin that wheel.
Let's do it. Oh, give me the question mark.
Now,
I can't see.
Why the Niners?
I cannot see this happening.
I'm with you.
You're very confident in the Niners.
This is one of the only teams that I cannot see.
I think you want the Niners more than anybody on this wheel.
Yeah.
This is my genius right here. I think the Niners are going to the Super Bowl, but I got to play out the possibility that they don't. Shanahan's created a great system there. He's a great head coach. They win a lot of games there.
Yeah.
They're also the most talented team from a standpoint of their roster, even better than Baltimore.
Yeah.
I know Baltimore laid them down and took care of business, all right?
Yeah.
But he hasn't gotten there. He's got to win a Super Bowl, or you wasted all this talent that John Lynch gave you.
Yep.
So what I'm saying is this. If they stub their toe at some point in the playoffs prior to the Super Bowl, and now you've got aging veterans who thought this was going to be my best shot of winning a Super Bowl, and there's some contracts coming up, all of a sudden I say to myself, man, maybe it's the coach. Maybe he's just a regular season Tommy, and he's not a postseason Johnny. I don't know. But I look at it this way. if San Francisco does not get to the Super Bowl this year and Belichick's available, why the hell wouldn't I make that call?
And this is what I know. We said it earlier. If you can make a Tom Brady, you can make another one. You talk about a personality from a Brock Purdy standpoint who's not a hot, but he doesn't like the attention. He just wants to go to work and be the machine. On top of that, you know, during that 3-game losing streak the Niners suffered, you know what happened? Shanahan threw his coaches underneath the bus.
Yes, he did.
You've never seen Bill Belichick do that.
Good
never.
point, William.
Belichick has been the most loyal through all of it. Look how bad he's been. He's never said Bill O'Brien. He's never said Gerard Mayo. What he said is, we're going to figure it out. That's what you want. If you could create another Tom Brady, go to San Francisco and add a more.
That's the dark horse on this board. I don't know what that is, but that's the dark horse on this board. I'm playing it out as they don't get to the Super Bowl. Maybe we've reached our max potential with Shanahan as coach.
Yep.
And the only guy, I'm not saying I'm looking for a new coach, the only guy that I would call would be the GOAT. That's the only guy I call.
Yeah, I don't see this.
Hey! No chance. Party
I
pooper.
just don't see this one. When you've had the amount of success, obviously we know that they haven't won the Super Bowl, but they have an opportunity to do that this year. You don't just break that up just because.
Super Bowl bust, Greg.
Most of these teams, Dallas is a Super Bowl or bust. But this team has been to the NFC Championship. They've gone to the Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan provides them all that you want offensively. Defensively, I mean, just got to get it done. This one is hard for me.
Spin that wheel! They tell me we only got 60 seconds to go. 60 seconds to go. Oh, how convenient. All right, here's the deal. It's the mystery team.
I got a team.
Nobody gave me an envelope.
I got a team.
So you have it?
I got a team. So earlier you said pick a team that's not in the playoffs for a Belichick destination.
Yes.
This team was not mentioned. We've already decided this team needs to have Super Bowl aspirations. This team was not mentioned. We said that they should already have a franchise quarterback. This team was not mentioned.
What?
What team is this?
I have no idea.
We haven't said it yet.
Here we go.
The Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh!
The Zach Taylor, great coach. Everybody likes them. But they are Super Bowl caliber team.
Yes, they
are.
are.
They have a quarterback.
Yes, they do.
They're in a winnable division.
Yes, they are.
Bill Belichick would make a lot of sense. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It it's worth considering.
So they got the franchise quarterback.
Yep.
They got $70 million under the cap to spend on a couple of free agents. They have a pretty good defense, not a great defense, but a decent defense.
They got Revis.
And they've shown the ability to beat Kansas City in playoff games.
Yes.
Now, they do have the Ravens in their division.
They beat the Niners.
They beat the Niners.
They got them
The Ravens,
Steelers.
of course, are beasts. They ain't worried about Pittsburgh or Joe Flacco.
Steelers are awful.
I tell you,
What do you mean? We're going to playoffs. See you Sunday, suckers.
how do we go 2 hours and not consider the Cincinnati Bengals? That's actually a great call for a team that's got all the pieces laid out and money to spend to acquire a couple free agents this year. I was never a fan of Zach Taylor's anyway. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals, if you're the Brown family,
What's the phone call?
The only truth with the Browns is that they're cheap. So I'm not saying the Browns are going to come out there and give Belichick 5 years, $100 million, because that's what the deal's going to be.
Yeah, still gonna have
because
to
Sean
pay Taylor,
Payton got
too.
18 a year.
I'll give you another
like
issue that nobody wants to talk about.
Go.
Your quarterback has been injured 2 of his 3 years.
Good point.
Good
Good point,
injury
Nichols.
prone.
Good point. Solid point. What? What's up? What's wrong?
I just hate the disrespect to my Steelers. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Here we go.
For the record,
Here we go.
the disrespect for the
till
Steelers.
halftime of the game.
We went back and checked. In the last 7 weeks, you haven't picked the Steelers once.
I picked them last week. They won.
Nobody remembers that.
Okay.
All right.
Didn't happen.
Coming up,
Nobody was
what's
Willie.
more on the big news of the day, Bill Belichick is out. Nick Saban is out. Pete Carroll is out. And we'll talk about all those things and much, much more.
Craig.
In the final segment we have, it's Jacoby, it's Willie, it's Nipples, and you.
Spin that wheel! Good morning. Welcome back to the Carton Show. We have some breaking news. Pete Carroll is out. No one cares. Nick Saban is out. No one cares. Because Bill Belichick is no longer the head coach of the New England Patriots, and we've been celebrating all morning. Why are you so happy about this, Craig?
Because I'm a Jet fan, that's why. And if you're an AFC fan, you celebrate. If you're a team that he beat, I got confetti on my face. There's only one fan base in the entire league that doesn't give a rat's ass if Bill Belichick coaches again or not, and that's Big Blue. if you're a New York Giants fan, this isn't even news to you because you had 2 shots against him in the Super Bowl and you beat him both times. And he was a part of the coaching staff that won a couple Super Bowls, of course, with Bill Parcells.
Yep.
So you don't dislike him. Matter of fact, people don't even realize that Bill Belichick is still a consultant for the New York Giants, and they don't even hire anybody without consulting with him. Spot the lie. That being said, why am I celebrating? Because the Wicked Witch is dead. The guy that, outside of a couple years with Rex Ryan and my guy Mark Sanchez, this guy has not only owned us, he has rubbed our noses in it. Yeah. He despises the worst franchise in the NFL for the better part of 25 years. It's just the same old Jets, and he's a big part of that. So, yes, I am thrilled as a Jet fan that they're the new doormats of the AFC East. That being said, he ain't going home. He's not going to Shady Acres. He's not going on Jimmy Johnson's boat fishing for marlin.
How's that
guy? I think I got one. That's my fish impersonation.
I see that.
He's going to coach somewhere. But in the moment, please allow me and all Jet fans and Dolphin fans and Bills fans to celebrate the end.
Of course.
The end. The end.
Come on, Craig!
Bye-bye, Bill!
The end of the Bill Belichick reign of terror on the AFC East. Now, I'll be the first guy to tell you that I respect the man because he's the greatest head coach in the history of the league and obviously only behind Don Shula for total wins. He is going to win another Super Bowl. I don't know where, but it's going to happen. But for the moment, I'm going to get so drunk later today.
Yeah, Craigie, Graham, yeah, baby.
I'm doing shots for all 6 of his Super Bowls because he ain't winning another one in the AFC.
Nope.
I think he becomes an NFC head coach, and obviously we've discussed a lot, what places make sense for him now. But in the moment, we have just lost, arguably, the greatest villain in the history of the NFL. Now, Kansas City's got a shot to get close to it, but that's more about Kansas City, not about Andy Reid. It's more about the Chiefs as an organization. This guy is the most reviled coach for fan bases from coast to coast because all he did was win, and all he did was rub our noses in it, and we dislike him for that. Today is a great day for NFL fans outside of the New England area from coast to coast.
The critter's back. The critter's back.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. The wicked witch is dead.
I agree with you, but we also got to understand why I personally hate Bill Belichick and why he has been the villain. And listen, it's not outside. Talk about when one of his assistants was really filming the Steelers practice before the AFC Championship. Let's not forget about that. Let's not forget that he toes the line when it comes to cheating throughout his whole career. But there's something he did to me personally.
What's that? Oh, is that
There's
right?
something that he did to me personally that I haven't quite lived down.
Please tell me we've got tape.
Thursday Night Football. Jets versus Patriots, right? Let's go to footage, right? Here I am. Nick Saban gets in a quarrel. My brother, DeBrickashaw Ferguson, is in a fight. Yeah. I come to save the day. Jump in. I'm throwing balls. I knock over a ref. It's 38 seconds on the clock. We are dismissed. The Jets defense is on the field. But look at what Bill Belichick does, right? Oh, that's me knocking over the ref. I got fined for that heavily. 38 seconds left on the clock. Bill Belichick comes running down the sideline and goes, 66, 60, out of the game. I want those fat out of this game. 38 seconds left. We already lost the game. Geno Smith threw a pick in this. I'm over there fighting with my brothers. I hate the Patriots. I hate Bill Belichick. And I'm happy that old bastard's gone. Yeah. Bottom line. Bye-bye, Bill.
Bye, Bill.
Oof, that's what I'm talking about. That's real.
Yes.
And he represents a lot of NFL players who had to sit there and watch another celebration with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. Now, at some point today, I imagine, Fox's own Tom Brady will either put out a statement or say something. And it'd be really classy if he's actually at the press conference today because they are forever intertwined as the best coach-quarterback combination in the history of the league.
Yeah, well, for me, I mean, why didn't you go after Bill?
Oh, what was that? I want
to push the ref already.
He came
you already pushed the ref.
Dude, I tell you what.
First of all, he kicked me. I got kicked out, and I had to leave the field. Bill Belichick, from this play, he runs down the sideline, tells the ref, I want 66 and 60 out the game.
Right.
Rex Ryan comes over and goes, Willie, do not spit at the crowd. Do not flick off the crowd. Run your big butt into the locker room. Don't say nothing. And so I had no chance to go get Bill.
But you talk about this all the time.
Yes.
Were you waiting for him in the parking lot?
No, I was exasperated. I was now questioning my job as a New York Jet at that point. I was ready to go.
Well, there's a lot of guys that feel that way, and there's going to be a lot of teams that now want to be in the Bill Belichick business, and that that's the reality. For all the negativity, for all the criticism that's been fair over the last 4 years, one playoff appearance, no playoff wins, hasn't developed a roster, hasn't developed a young quarterback, and all that stuff that's dead on accurate and fair. The reality is that there's 30 other NFL teams that would have a major upgrade on the sideline if this guy's their head coach. Not as an executive, which is a fair point.
I do want to say,
as head coach, that guy's the best.
He had Matt Patricia, Joe Judge be his offensive coordinators last year. He's got Steven Belichick and Brian Belichick playing major roles in there. He spent the most free agent money he ever has in the Patriots' history 2 seasons ago, and none of those players are impacting the team right now. If you said who is the best offensive player for the Patriots right now, again, he's in charge of the roster.
Bourne, maybe?
Ramondre Stevenson?
Maybe.
Honestly.
Again, I'm bringing him in to be my head coach. And if I'm an owner, I am specifically, because of all that, not bringing him in to make personnel decisions. I give him a voice in the room, obviously. He has a certain style of player for him. So it's going to be a collaboration. I get a badass GM, if I don't already have one, a proven commodity in understanding the college game, so I can get the best picks beyond the first round, because most GMs are third, fourth, fifth round. Guys that become household names.
Second
round, of course. Nipples over there was a second round draft.
Nipples got drafted in the first round.
But I want to be clear about it, because that criticism is fair. But I'm not hiring for that. I'm hiring because I think I've got everything else. The one thing I'm missing as a franchise is a head coach who knows how to win on Sundays. That's beyond, he's the guy. So if I have a really stout front office that knows how to find talent, get talent, and bring in free agents, I'll give you one better. If I'm a free agent, all right, and I find out that Bill Belichick is now the head coach of a team that also has all the other pieces, I want to play for him because I want to win. And whatever you say about him, and I know a lot of players go there late in their career and have been like, it ain't for me. Because he's about discipline.
Yes.
He's about my way or the highway.
He makes you earn it.
And that works. When you go play for a coach that's typically, when you hear the term, he's a player's coach, most of those guys don't last that long, because eventually the players get over on him, because that's the nature of being an NFL player. This dude represents the ring. And if I'm a guy who's 28, 9 years old, and I might have one more crack at it because my career is going to end in my young 30s, I want to play for a guy that knows how to win.
Yeah, but also, Craig, what he also represents is order, right? You understand, because I've had James Harrison to Dave Harris, guys who I love, consider my brothers, who played for Bill Belichick. He says one of the things he does great, he gives you a schedule, right? You get your schedule for the day. Past lunch, there's nothing to rest for the schedule, because he doesn't want guys looking ahead. It's breakfast, meetings, weight room, and walkthrough, practice. Outside that, you don't know the rest of your day, because for him is you're always going to work, right? I don't want you ever looking at the clock. The pursuit of excellence is always on the hunt. So for me, if you're an organization who's looking for order, stability, and discipline with a young outfit, or young talented outfit, you go get Belichick, because that's what he provides for you.
Yeah, I just don't believe that there are. I would eliminate the Steelers, and I would eliminate the Baltimore Ravens, and the Niners.
Dolphins.
And the Chiefs. Outside of that, I don't believe that there is a room, an organization that is not having their execs sit down and at least entertain the idea.
Well, you have to entertain.
Like, how would this work? Would this be a fit? How could we make it work? I don't care. Dallas Cowboys, I don't care what type of success you've had in the past, what your head coach is doing when you just got him. If he's been there long tenure, it does not matter. When you have a guy like this that's available or becomes available, which he now is, you have to consider ripping up what you have.
Yeah, because he's a one of one. And you're right. I don't care if you signed a guy a year ago and you think very highly of him, you think he's going to build a program up and obviously have success there, all of a sudden, there's a dude available that has not been available for 24 years. And now you got to figure the competitive nature of being a head coach and being a competitor and being a winner. There's a fire under his ass because now he has an opportunity to prove to the world again, I am the best. And Brady won as much because of him as because of me.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, it burns his chaps that Brady went to Tampa and won a Super Bowl.
Because he hears about it
and
all
he
the time.
hasn't won a playoff game. Forget about Super Bowls. And he does hear it all the time. And look, I'm friendly with guys who do sports talk radio up in the Boston area. That's been the rhetoric the last year plus, that maybe he has lost his fastball. Maybe it was all Brady. And that has to burn him. And I'm telling you, he's going to pick the perfect situation. He ain't going to Atlanta. He ain't going to Carolina. He's going to a team that's got a quarterback and talent, and they just haven't figured out how to use it correctly. And he is going to win again, hopefully in the NFC, because I would love to beat his ass in next year's Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets against Bill Belichick and the Cowboys. Come get some.
Jets, Cowboys in New Orleans?
That's my prediction for next year.
One thing that's very important here is Bill Belichick. I don't know him personally, but everyone that's worked with him says that he's a historian of the game.
He is, yes.
He knows everything about the history of the National Football League, and his legacy is very important to him. That's why the Brady thing is interesting. But he wants that Don Shula record. He is not retiring without that Don Shula record.
And he's 2 years or 2 seasons
away. 15 games away, and he doesn't want to spend a third season trying to get that. So he needs at least 8 wins. So he's not going to rebuild with a new rookie quarterback. He wants to go in a turnkey situation.
And don't forget, players have changed a lot too, because I'm thinking just as we're getting ready to go over to Undisputed, and we'll be back tomorrow, and much more on this tomorrow, of course. His pedigree is West Point.
Yeah.
His pedigree is discipline and order. And, the Bobby Knight School, the Mike Krzyzewski School, and his dad being one of those guys. So it's a crazy day. Bill Belichick is out, press conference at 12. If you're a huge college fan, Nick Saban, gone from Alabama. If I'm Alabama, I'm on the phone with Deion Sanders today, so I don't lose a single recruit that I'm starting to lose. And, of course, Pete Carroll, gone from Seattle. Much more tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the celebration all day as Bill Belichick is gone.
Bye-bye.